What's going on, Sooner Nation? Guess what? The Crimson Combine is on Saturday. So if you guys are attending, you've got to jump in the comments and let me know. I'm not going to be there because I was supposed to go to the baseball game tonight, Friday night. I won't be able to make it. My mom's sick, so I don't really want to go alone. But I will be there Sunday, and I just didn't want to be around the crowds on Saturday. So, especially with the baby, right? She's not even one yet. I don't want to get her sick. So unfortunately, I'm not going to be there this year, but there's going to be a lot of recruits there. And there's already been some recruits on campus this weekend. And they're ones that you guys as Oklahoma fans are going to want to know about. 5 stars, interior offensive linemen, and quite a bit more. So we're going to jump in. We're going to talk about it today. Before we do, as always, I want to hear from y'all. So make sure you guys are joining the discussion and letting me know your guys' thoughts. What recruit from this weekend do you want to see Oklahoma go out there and land? Now, I want to start by prefacing this. This is not a full, comprehensive list of guys that will be on campus. Obviously, there will be guys that show up that we don't talk about, and maybe guys that we do talk about showing up that end up not showing up. That's just kind of how it works. However, the Oklahoma Sooners did get news just the other day that the 4-star offensive lineman out of IMG Academy, teammates with Will Conroy, Breck Koga Jay, is going to be on campus this weekend with Oklahoma for an official visit. Now, I think this is Oklahoma's first official visit of the year. So if you're an Oklahoma fan, this is obviously really exciting because Breck Koga Jay is wanted by some of the most elite teams in the entire country. Like, we're talking Tennessee, Miami, Georgia, and he's got over 38 total offers. So he really could just kind of pick wherever he wants to go. But this is a guy that it felt like Oklahoma has just been quietly recruiting in the background. We've been trying to see where Oklahoma's been gauged at in this recruitment. And it's one where you don't talk about him a lot, but it's somebody that we constantly got to remind you of. Bill Bedenbaugh's in his ear. Bill Bedenbaugh would like to get this guy. And he does have official visits scheduled with Tennessee, which would be just June 20th, which would be Oklahoma's Champion Barbecue weekend. He'll be at Georgia June 13th and at Miami the first weekend of June. So Oklahoma right here gets an opportunity to make the first impression to Breck Koga Jay. And again, being one of the top interior offensive linemen in the country at 6'5", 290 pounds, getting him to play one of your guard positions would be a big time get for Oklahoma this cycle. And they need to get a couple of guys in this cycle, really good guys that can play guard, because you had a couple departures in the portal. You'll probably have a couple more after this season. So you want to make sure you have a really good, solid recruiting class this year, and Breck can help bring that to Oklahoma. So we'll have to follow up with Breck and the camp and kind of see, how the official visit weekend went with Oklahoma. But there's also another visitor on the offensive line showing up to campus, and we'll talk about the 5-star here towards the end of the video. But the other offensive lineman that's going to be on campus this weekend is one that you guys saw here in the thumbnail title, Carter Scruggs. Now, we've talked about him before, and, kind of just like Breck Koga Jay, 6'5", and although Carter Scruggs is listed as an interior offensive lineman, I think there's a lot of belief that he would, at the next level, play tackle. And maybe Koga Jay could also play tackle as well. But we know Bill Bedenbaugh really likes to have guys that can kind of be swing offensive linemen, a guy that can play guard and tackle or guard and center. He likes it to where he can move you around to multiple positions because of injuries, or, hey, like maybe you're just a better fit here at this position. And Bill Bedenbaugh's kind of the offensive line whisperer. Now, the great thing about Carter Scruggs is, there's a history here in Oklahoma with family being out there in Shawnee. Carter Scruggs being all the way out in Leesburg, Virginia, coming to campus this weekend for an unofficial visit. Like, this is big news to have a guy from the state of Virginia. This is major to have a guy from the state of Virginia come to Oklahoma for an unofficial visit for multiple days. That tells you that the kid is interested in coming here. Now, obviously, if you're Oklahoma, you got to fight Michigan here. Michigan's already gotten an official visit on the calendar. Sharon Moore and Michigan do a really good job at recruiting the offensive line as well. So if you're Oklahoma, you can't put all your eggs in the basket on Carter Scruggs. But if you're able to land him and get him as one of your offensive tackles in this class, I think he would be a massive addition for Oklahoma. He is I think a consensus top 150 player in the country. So yeah, Carter Scruggs, a guy that's going to be on campus and a guy that Oklahoma fans need to be paying attention to. Now, additionally, there are a couple other visitors that are going to be on campus this weekend. You got some 2027 guys, but one of the other 2026 guys that's going to be on campus, and one that I would like to see Oklahoma maybe make a little bit more move on, is Jacorei Smith. Now, if you guys remember, we've talked about Jacorei quite often. He's a 4-star linebacker out of Arkansas, former teammates with Omarion Robinson. But Jacorei Smith plays the linebacker position at a very high level. You could tell he has a good IQ of the game. And Jacorei Smith is a top 150 player in this class. So again, you're kind of seeing Oklahoma get some big time visitors on campus. And if they could go out there and, Nate Dreiling and Wes Goodwin continue to develop relationships with Jacorei, Oklahoma might have a pretty good shot there. Now, you're looking at teams like Nebraska and Tennessee as teams that you're going to have to go up against. Obviously, Arkansas will always be in the mix there. But when you look at those 4 schools, it feels like those are the ones right now with the most momentum in this recruitment for Jacorei Smith. Now, the 5-star that we were kind of teasing at the beginning that is on campus this weekend is the 5-star defensive end, Jake Kruel, 6'3", 230 pounds. He's also from IMG Academy. So you kind of notice a trend here. Got a couple IMG Academy dudes, maybe a couple more on campus, where we'll talk about that towards the end of the week. But Jake Kruel, 5-star defensive end on campus this week. This is a guy that Oklahoma wants really bad, because you look at the PJ Adebayore's, you look at the R. Mason Thomases of the world on this defensive end room, or even Marvin Jones Jr., who is just a frequent guy that came in this, or a new guy that came in this year. Jake Kruel has the talent ability to be on the level of those guys, or even a little bit better. Like, you look at Jake Kruel's first step in his film, it's elite. And you look at the way that he's able to kind of shift his body to get around those offensive linemen. Jake Kruel with Miguel Chavis, this could be a guy that could be an All-American for multiple years in a row here at Oklahoma. I'm just saying that now. He's been to Oklahoma like 4 or 5 times at this point. I think this will be like his 5th or his 6th visit. And so Oklahoma, you would imagine, is probably going to be getting an official visit for Jake Kruel. But if Oklahoma can continue to build this relationship and foster it as well as they have, I think Oklahoma has a really good shot at landing Jake Kruel. And I think they're also probably the leader in his recruitment as well. But you look at other defensive ends that Oklahoma's going after, maybe like a James Carrington or a Kevin Ford Jr. or a Luke Waffle. All of these guys would be great options to pair with Jake Kruel. If you landed any of those guys with Jake Kruel, you're talking about an A++ class for Miguel Chavis on the defensive ends. So I want to hear from y'all. I want to hear about the weekend. I want to hear who's going to the Crimson Combine. Make sure you guys join the discussion. Jump in the comments below. And if you guys are new to the channel, make sure you guys hit that like and you hit that subscribe button.